child that you gave to her, who she loves beyond words, is now someone she doesn't recognize. They're flying higher than the birds. He is a slave to disease, that's so very cruel. Lord, she's trying to protect him, isn't that the rule?
Hello everyone, welcome to Time to Heal. My name is Pam Hemphill. On this show I bring you the dark side of addiction to a whole new light by providing you with some recovery solutions. Today, this show is dedicated to mothers who have a child still struggling with drug addiction. You may have tried to take them to treatment, or maybe treatment didn't even work. Maybe you've tried to save them by bailing them out of jail, or giving them money, or letting them live with you. But all of us mothers have tried everything we possibly can to save our child, and nothing has worked. So today we're going to discuss how we have enabled others to continue using, and what can we do. So my guest today is Lisa. She will be sharing with us parts of her own recovery story and how she is dealing with a daughter who is out there using drugs. First, Lisa, she shared with me before we started this show how she was able to get clean and sober, and she has 7 years. And she shared that she used everything from meth to alcohol, you name it. So, Lisa, would you mind sharing out, excuse me, my mouth today is dry, starting off by sharing with us what led up to you getting clean and sober?
Well, Pam, there's a long history. I can remember really starting to drink alcohol when I was really, really young with my dad and my grandpa. If I went to the refrigerator and got the beer, I could open it and take the first swig. So I really liked that a lot. And then it just kind of escalated. It was a weekend thing at school. You know, we'd all get together, and this was junior high. And that's what we would do, get drunk and smoke pot. And high school came, and I started to experiment with other drugs, and alcohol just wasn't my vice anymore. And I got into a really bad relationship at 15, and it lasted for 12 years. So in that relationship, I really actually could say that was my numbing. If I wasn't drinking alcohol, I was doing dope. And by doing dope, that means that I was snorting meth. I was a speed freak. And whatever I did it alcoholically. You know, I did it to the extent of blacking out to the point of no return. So what led to it is many years knowing that I had an issue, switching one drug from another, and always going back to alcohol. You know, the scientists and researchers say that women become more, let's say, more far gone quicker than that of men. So I would say probably within a year's time after I'd moved to Idaho, I was drinking on a daily basis, waking up with the hair of the dog, and I had my cocktails, you know. I knew I could get my speed going in the morning, and I'd come down on my alcohol at night. And that's just how I rolled for a long time. Consequences, you know, they intensified. Didn't matter if I didn't have food in the house for my kid, or I didn't know where my kid was at. I always had alcohol. You know, I spent more and more time in jail, DUIs. And in the very end, I'm not ashamed to say, because it's a part of my story, and I hope it helps others to know, you know, the bottomless pit that the disease of alcoholism and drug addiction is I started putting needles in my arm. So it was just a train of events. It was how I coped with life. It was my solution to not feeling and thinking about what I'd let my life become and what I've done to the ones that I loved, especially my daughter. That was a really hard one for me. There were times in her life that she stayed with Grandma and Grandpa while Mom was in jail. Or it was just really convenient for Mom to leave her at Grandma and Grandpa's house while she went out and partied. So what led to me getting sober was just a chain of events. And in the very end, it was just hating myself enough that I just didn't want life anymore. And just couldn't seem to either pull the trigger or, go head on with that semi. And so then here I am. It took me 9 years. It took me 9 years to be really willing to put down everything I thought I knew in life to say, hey, will you teach me? And 7 years later, I'm still at that level to where I'm teachable, in my program and in my spiritual life and with everyone I come in contact with. We're all each other's teachers here. And when I can remember that, I believe that's when I grow the most, and that's when I have the most to offer. So I believe that my purpose is sharing my story, not regretting my past, nor wishing to shut the door on it. It makes me very strong. There's a passage in a certain book that I read, and it talks about, that my true dependence upon the creator of the universe and gives me true independence in this lifetime. So I'm well here. When I'm not here and doing what I need to be doing, and doing that next right indicated thing, I'm not well anymore. I go back to my sickness, and I know it's waiting for me. I know I need to remember where I come from, the harm that I've caused, especially to myself. Because we don't look at that. We don't look at the harm that we caused to ourselves, that self-hatred, So that's pretty much my journey with, my drugs and my alcohol and where I allowed my life to go due to the sickness within me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You mentioned the self-hatred. What was the self-hatred?
Well, I think it started off as low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
I was always a people pleaser. I always wanted you to like me, and I'd do anything. Mm-hmm. I'd do anything as long as you liked me. Even if you might have been a bad person, please like me. And I really do believe that that's a self-esteem issue. I moved around a lot as a child. I was an only child, very lonely child. I know Mom and Dad did the best that they could with what they had and what they knew. Really, there was alcoholism in the family. And so, it was that self-esteem and then knowing that I was allowing certain things to happen in my life. Mm-hmm. I was violently abused, for 12 years from my ex-husband. Mm. And what I realized in my recovery and in my healing is I allowed that because of my sickness within myself with my low self-esteem. I do believe this today, and so that's my part. That's the part I have to own up to. I don't have to own up to anything he's done to me. I have to own up to what I allowed to be done to myself. And to own up to that, I can grow in self-love. To have this contact and this relationship with a higher power and other women in my life, I learned that self-love. To know that I am so much more worth someone's toxic abuse. Words, physical abuse, any of that. Any kind of toxic situation. So that was the form of self-hate. What I allowed to become, what I allowed myself to become, and what I allowed others to do to me. In the name of, will you please like me? Will you please accept me? So.
Will you please love me?
Will you please love me?
There's no love inside of me.
So definitely.
Fill that up.
Right?
And what you're sharing now is you have a higher power that fills you up.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to share a little bit about that relationship and how's that developed for you? Did you recover?
Well, I know years ago when I was growing up, still living at home, Mom and Dad were born and raised in a certain religion, a very strict religion, and so there was some circumstances, some experiences that had happened in life that really left my mom very angry, my dad as well. And she always gave me the choice. She says, Lisa, when you're old enough, you can have the choice to pick whatever God you want. And I know that had to have been a divine channeling. It just had to, especially from the religion she grew up in. And I always thought it was a curse. Because I'd go to Sunday school or I'd go do this with friends, and they always seemed like they had this thing that I didn't have. And what I realize now is I always had it. You know, the biggest experience and the best memory that I can remember is when I was about 8, 9 years old. And this is when I can really actually say that, yes, my higher power was everywhere. I would go on my own, just little trips. I'd take a lunch, you know, and I'd go down to this creek, and it was like my journey, you know, kind of like Journey into Narnia. And when I was there, I knew I was not alone. The animals were there. I know that there were spirits, angels, fairies, whatever you want to call them, you know. But the big whole of it is I knew that this source was all around me, and I was protected there. And I've studied religions, and you know, and I take things, you know, in a book that I use in my recovery. It talks about, you know, to look to see where religious people are right and make use of what they have to offer. So I've done that. You know, I've researched different religions in the world, different cultures, different tribes around the world, you know. And one thing that I think, or I see that's true and right and just, is we take care of one another. You know, no one goes without, you know, when we're really looking at the Spirit of God. So I know that for me, my higher power is everything. Good and love, compassion. I know it dwells within me. And I know that's what makes me strong.
And that's what you credit to your recovery.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Just another quick question I'd like to ask you, Lisa, if you don't mind. Regarding your daughter, how do you, what led up to you realizing that your daughter had a drug problem?
Well, I got sober when she was 12, and I was in a halfway house for 9 months after that. And after that, I ended up getting my own home, and Harmony got to come back home and live with me. She'd been with Mom, her grandma. And she started, you know, let's just say experimenting, you know, and dabbling a little bit of this, dabbling in a little bit of that. And school started to not become a priority. And her grades started going down, and I knew something was going on. I look back, and that's huge, you know, that's huge in how I find solution as well with all different things in life, is to remember, you know, and relate. So I remembered and I related to where I was at. I'm 12 years old, you know, my grades dropped. I stopped going to school, you know, my behavior changed. So I looked at this in her, and I knew. She overdosed on some Freon. She was a huffer back then, you know, and she hung around, you know, a really good group of kids. I mean, they all had good hearts, but they were all experimenting with all this bad stuff, you know, kind of like I did when I was younger. It wasn't an issue. I wasn't really drinking or doing any of that stuff to push away any type of pain, I don't believe. I think it was just, you know, that experimentation of, oh, wow, this is fun. And then I saw what it did to me. So I think that's kind of where she was at, you know. And 14, 15 years old. So there'd been about 2 years of it. And there was an incident that had happened that told me this is enough. I have got to do something for my daughter, you know, because I could yell all I want. I can tell her no all I want, you know, but until I actually fully start taking some action to try to help her, it's just going to stay the same. So she went into a juvenile treatment facility for 4 months, and she learned things there. I learned things while she was there because I was still new in my sobriety. And after she had gotten out and come home, things were really good. She had this good head on her shoulder. The intelligent young woman I know that she is, caught up 2 years. She was behind 2 years in school. And she caught up with her class. She got to start her senior year as a senior, and little by little, she even got on the honor roll. And this was all her doing. So, this shows me what the disease is all about. It wants us. And so when I see how beautiful we are and how messed up it gets us, she dabbles. She's been hooked up in the system forever, minor in consumption, drinking and getting caught for it as a minor. And,
Can I stop you for a minute?
Yes.
Can you explain to the mothers out there what dabbling is? A lot of them may not know for sure. And take a Kleenex, it's okay.
Well, like the dabbling, maybe that wasn't the right word, control. I can do this and still be all right.
Yeah.
But I think it's the curiosity of, I go back to where I was at, oh wow, that might be better than alcohol.
Mm-hmm. So she was experimenting
with different drugs. Exactly.
Today there's so many different names out there. Dabbling could be a name of a drug.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I thought. So she was dabbling in different things.
Different things, exactly. And
do you think she somehow too, like a lot of us women, carry that low self-worth? We're wanting to be liked, we want to be loved and accepted.
Well, she's touched bases on it with counseling.
And then got trapped, of course,
and
into the addiction.
Exactly. And I can't call her an alcoholic or an addict. And it's been researched, that, there's a line we cross.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us don't cross that line.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope and pray, whatever it is in her life doesn't take her up and over that line.
Right.
For me, it was abuse that took me up and over that line.
Right.
And there's some in our family, both sides of the family. There's some that it didn't hit, and others full blown. So, she's beautiful. She still takes care of her appearance, and she still wants good things in her life. She can go a time without it. And then it's what we call binge, binge whatever. I'll show that I'm okay and that I don't really have a problem with this, and then all of a sudden I'm off on a binge, doing really horrific things, not remembering. She's very open with me.
You are sharing a story I heard from a lady from Facebook that's exactly what her son was doing, and he overdosed accidentally.
Right. That's the whole thing of it all. And so for me...
Does it scare you?
It scares me. It scares me. Because 3 times I overdosed. And there was one time I may not have made it if I didn't pick up the phone and call somebody because it scared the hell out of me.
What can you do?
I can't. All I can do is love her. All I can do is love her and lead by example. All I can do is take care of me and love her. And I know. I can feel that woman, that mother's intuition, when it's really, really bad and it's just, in a manipulation game.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the manipulation games?
I don't know. I know we all know the guilt trip, don't we?
Oh, that's the best one.
Yeah,
I love that card.
I wouldn't be like this if it wasn't for this, or the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Well, do you ever feel that guilt? Because if you hadn't been an alcoholic or an addict, maybe she would.
Oh, I went through it. And it was part of my recovery,
right.
part of my, part of those steps towards healing. And I looked at it. It was a huge, huge part of looking at myself that I cannot make up any time, and I cannot go back and change it. It is what it is today.
It is not your fault.
No. I did the best that I could with what I had at the time that I knew how.
It is not your fault, right?
No.
Let me hear that.
It's not my fault.
We can't cure it.
No.
We didn't cause
No.
it.
And I know that I can't say you've had enough. All I can do is pray for her safety.
But as mothers, we do carry that, don't we?
Yeah.
There's something I can do to fix
Oh yeah, because before Grandma died, my mom just passed away, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
I went through, thank you, and I went through a time with Harmony back last year, and it came to a point to where I was getting just as sick as she was. Not saying that she was sick, but at the same time, you put us
Right.
both together and we're sick. We're both sick. So I got to own my part on that one.
Yes.
And I knew that just living together was not a healthy thing, and it was an argument that I kicked her out. It wasn't a rational communication or rational conversation. It was my sickness yelling, "Get out. I can't handle this anymore." And she went and lived with Grandma. Well, Grandma wants to make sure she's okay. You know, that I guess you can call that what we call today enabling. But she did it in love.
Yeah.
I know this. And what I have in recovery, what I have in different programs, is that by me enabling, I'm just keeping that person sick. This I know today. And trying to wean her off of grandmother's enabling has been the hard part for me. When to say yes, when to say no. You know, so I grow. I continue to grow and take care of me. I do. And sometimes it is hard because I don't know when to say no sometimes, and I don't know when the proper time is to say yes. You know, and all I know is that when we're together, we do have a good relationship. She's been very open with me all her life. Sometimes she tells me more than I really want to know, but it's like, if that's what she needs to do to know that I'm here, and that's okay with me.
So what would you say to our mothers today that are out there that have a daughter or a son that's, using heroin and they're doing everything they can? What's the first step you would recommend for them? What's the first thing you'd say to them to do?
Well, what was done for me, you know, there's a program out there, you know, for families of, you know, people that suffer from addiction and alcoholism. It's a family disease. We're all affected, you know, and if we don't get help ourselves, we're going to internalize that, you know, as parents, as brothers and sisters or coworkers or whoever comes in contact. So I think self-help, you know, getting help for ourselves to know that no, it's not our fault, you know, and to really find that place within ourselves, knowing that there's really nothing that we can do but love from a distance. One of the programs talked to detach with love, you know, and that was really hard for me before. And now I can actually say that I do. You know, I want to interfere and I don't. When the phone call comes, then I can lead by example.
You know, my son's been drinking himself to death now for maybe 4 years. And I did everything you're not supposed to do. I know that the 12-step family group principles, I've been to the meetings, but it's my son and I loved him and I took care of him. I gave him a place to live. I gave him money. And love, you know, if they say love is not enough. Love does not cure this disease.
Yeah.
And somehow it's this part of us that think if I can just do this and this, they're going to see something. They're going to see that how special they are. No, not with alcoholism and drug addiction. It doesn't matter until the person's really ready to do something for themselves. There's nothing as a parent or spouse or anyone can ever do for them. That's why the first step says I'm powerless over alcohol and drugs.
Right.
You know, and the second step says come to believe that a power greater than me can restore me to sanity, not my parents or my husband or my wife. You know, a power greater than myself can do this. It's been tough, I know, for you. I've struggled with the same thing, and you're not alone. There's a lot of parents out there right now. I get a lot of, you know, messages from people wanting to know what to do, and it's the same problem with the same answer. You got to go to 12-step family group to get help. I couldn't do this by myself.
We've got to find a spiritual solution, you know, and
God could and would if sought.
Yeah, definitely.
Huh?
Yeah.
I know, but you know, I've got a magic wand, and
I have one too.
You do too? I like to just wipe, you know, to here, get fixed.
Yeah, that's me interfering though.
Yeah, see, exactly.
Yep.
That's their path, and that's
exactly.
where they have to go.
Yep, I was protected on my path. And it made me the beautiful, strong, sacred woman that I am today.
Yeah.
Just like you.
And what you found, hang on to it.
Yeah.
Look at you, you're glowing, you're a beautiful person today. Anything else you'd like to, your last comments to our viewers, or show's coming to an end, that you'd like to say to the mothers and fathers out there? Or
Don't give up. Don't give up, you know, and there's hope. There's hope. But we got to know that we can't do it for them. Nobody could do it for me. It took me to hit that inside bottom. And yeah, I may not want that to happen to my children because I have a pain and I don't want to see my child go through pain. But I know that that's made me whom I am today. And if that's what it's going to take for my daughter to become a strong, strong human being, I can't interfere. I just pray for her safety. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. You're truly a blessing. You're a wonderful mother.
Thank you.
Wonderful person. You're helping a lot of women. It's no mistakes.
Yeah. There are a lot of women in my life.
And you're touching them and healing
Yes.
them.
Thank you,
Blessing
Ken.
to have you here. And to my audience, thank you for joining me on my show today. Be sure to join my group, Time to Heal, on Facebook, or watch my shows on YouTube. Also, if you're struggling with an addiction and you want to become free, remember that desire must come first from you. If you take one step towards God, He's going to take 20 towards you. There are thousands of us out there that are clean and sober and doing this one day at a time through a 12-step program. It works for many. If it's worked for me now for almost 35 years, it can work for anyone. Just know that, that you don't have to do this by yourself. And to the mothers out there that are suffering and praying for their child, our prayers are with you. But remember what Lisa shared today, that sometimes our loving is not enough. We have to get help for ourselves. Just try to remember that you didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you can't cure it. Remember, God can get you through anything. You're never alone. Just pick up that phone and call. So don't give up, because your miracle's on its way.
Save him from the grips of the demon's hands. Please bring him back home to us, for she knows